Good morning. Today we shall discuss on thermodynamics. Possibly this is a new topic for you. So try to concentrate. Thermodynamics actually very important topic in physics and also in any engineering process. Thermodynamics, you can now know the definition. What is it? The term thermodynamics is the branch of natural science concerned with heat and its relation to other forms of energy and work. So this topic or uh, subject, thermodynamics, deals with heat and work, and it is obviously a natural science. And your environmental biotechnology also a natural science. It defines macroscopic variables such as temperature, entropy, and pressure that describes average properties of material bodies and radiation and explains how they are related and by what laws they change with time. Thermodynamics does not describe the macroscopic constituents of matter, and its laws can be derived from statistical mechanics. So lots of new, terminologies or keywords you are introducing. So thermodynamics has some laws like Newton laws, already you know. So we shall learn basic concept of thermodynamics as a branch of natural science which deals with heat and its relation to other forms of energy and work. And it has some laws, and it is also very closely related to your environmental biotechnology. Where we can apply thermodynamics, the major application areas of thermodynamics are uh, wide. It is widely used in science and engineering, such as engines, uh, phase transition, chemical reactions, transport phenomena, and even in the black holes, the starting point of the creation of universe. So chemical reactions in environmental biotechnology, obviously chemical reaction is very important. Phase transition also important. In some engine not so important anyway, but in engines thermodynamics and its principle is very important. The results of thermodynamics are essential for other fields of physics and for chemistry, chemical engineering, aerospace engineering, mechanical engineering, cell biology, even cell biology. Thermodynamics is very, very important. Biochemical engineering, material science, and are useful for other fields such as economics, because if you do not have better understanding of the thermodynamics than any industrial plant associated with engine or an other engineering uh, plant or industry, you cannot get the profit. So chemical thermodynamics is the study of interrelation of energy with chemical reactions and chemical transport uh, and with physical changes of state within the confines of the laws of thermodynamics. So this is very important area. Thermodynamics is a big discipline, but chemical thermodynamics is very important for you. So chemical thermodynamics is the study of interrelation of energy with chemical reactions and chemical transport and with physical changes of state within the confines of laws of thermodynamics. So thermodynamic equilibrium, this is another important keyword that you must know, which studies transformations of matter and energy in systems at or near thermodynamic equilibrium. That means when you have energy and matter in the system, and the transformation of matter from one form and another form is going on. In the previous lectures, the stoichiometry and balance of a reaction. Similarly, in thermodynamics there is an equilibrium. The thermodynamic equilibrium, a system's properties are by definition unchanging in time. In thermodynamic equilibrium, no macroscopic change is occurring or can be triggered within the system. Every microscopic process is balanced by its opposite. So always like laws of conservation of nature. So every microscopic process is balanced by its opposite. This is called the principle of detailed balance. A central aim in equilibrium thermodynamics is, given a system in a well-defined initial state, subject to specified constraints, to calculate what the equilibrium state of the system will be. So these are the fundamental points associated with the thermodynamics equilibrium. Another terminology is thermodynamic processes. There are several processes, but a thermodynamic process is defined by changes of state internal to the system of interest, combined with transfers of matter and energy to and from the surroundings of the system or to and from other system. Yes, this is very important, because when you do any chemical reaction in a confined system, in the system, energy, temperature, pressure, many other things, they are involved in the process. Not only internal, factors, but also surrounding system can also influence the process, thermodynamic process. So it is said like that: a system is demarcated from its surroundings or from other systems by partitions, which may more or less separate them and may move as a piston to change the volume of the system and thus transfer work. So in the engine, there are several systems work in the engine. I guess in farm machinery, you studied about the different kinds of engines. There are several system works together. So one system, influence another system, and obviously thermodynamics, that is heat, energy, and works, are related from one system to another, and they also influence like that. Several commonly studied thermodynamic processes are: isobaric process occurs at constant pressure. So there are several processes. One is isobaric process, occurs at constant pressure. Isochoric process occurs at constant volume, also called isometric or isovolumetric process. Isothermal process occurs at constant temperature. A diabatic process occurs without loss or gain of energy by heat. This is very important point, because when an engine is run, lots of energy is lost as heat. There is a radiator for cooling the heat or like that. So in Japan and many other countries now, they developed a hybrid machine, where when you burn the fuel in the cylinder, and then heat is generated and create the pressure and run the piston, but some heat is lost, and those lost heat, they convert into again the energy, electrical energy, and run the car. So by using 1 liter of fuel, you can run around 40 kilometers of your car, but naturally 10 to 12 kilometers by using, octane or like that. So loss of heat from a system is, common in our common engine or machine, and people are calculating, scientists are calculating how much energy is lost from a process, and then they are converting them into another form of energy so that get a highest benefit. And hybrid engine and of the motor cars are like that. In other engine also similar work is going on. Isentropic tropic process, a reversible adiabatic process occurs at a constant entropy. Isenthalpic process occurs at a constant enthalpy, and isolated process occurs at constant internal energy and elementary chemical composition. So these are several processes. Thermodynamic processes are occurs in the natural system as well as in the artificial, production plant. Uh, Laws of thermodynamics, these are very important for you. You need to understand there are several laws. Thermodynamics states a set of 4 laws which are valid for all systems I described, that fall within the constraints implied by each. For example, Zeroth Law of Thermodynamics. If two systems are each in internal thermal equilibrium with a third, they are also in thermal equilibrium with each other. Very interesting. For example, there are 3 systems, and if 2 systems are within each other thermal equilibrium with the third, then they are also thermal equilibrium with each other. This is very simple law. First law of thermodynamics is the change in internal energy of a closed system is equal to sum the heat supplied to the system and the work done on it. Here, loss of energy is not considered because the system is closed and no way to lose the energy. So in that case, the energy of a closed system is equal to sum the heat supplied to the system and work done on it. So heat, work, and energy, they are correlated, and the change in internal energy of a closed system, because when you supply energy in a closed system, there would be some change always occur, and is equal to sum of the heat, because from the energy heat is generated and then work is done. For example, engine is running like this. So second laws of thermodynamics, heat cannot spontaneously flow from a colder location to a hotter location. Heat cannot spontaneously flow from colder location to a hotter location. This is very, very simple because heat always flow from hotter location to colder location. But this law says colder location to hotter location, heat cannot spontaneously flow. Third law of thermodynamics, as a system approaches absolute zero, any system when it is approaches to absolute zero, all processes and the entropy of the system approaches a minimum value. That means when a system, for example, you are offered an energy to engine, and it is running, generating heat, and the works is going on. But when this system is approaches to zero, then all processes cease. That means energy is consumed, and then heat is also gradually go down, because energy is generating, and energy is also gradually energy generation is gradually go down, and finally they moves to absolute zero. Everything is shut down. That means all processes are ceased, and the entropy of the system approaches a minimum value. So these are the very interesting laws of thermodynamics. I understood that some of the points are not so easy for you to understand. First, let me discuss a little more on this topic. First order reactions. First order reactions in any chemical reaction, first order, second order, there are several phases of reaction taken place. First order reactions involves the conversion of a single reactant to one or more products and follow exponential kinetics. First order processes are common and involve many phenomena such as protein denaturation or radioactive decay. Radioactive, any radiation when exposed to the environment, there is a decay, for example, gamma radiation or others. In 2011, Fukushima nuclear power plant was damaged by a serious, earthquake and tsunami, and at that time the radiation level was incredibly high and dangerous, but gradually those radioactive materials decayed. So first, order reaction exposed to the environment and gradually decay is taking place. In case of protein, any protein, if you have in pure form or even in the mixture form, if you keep for longer time, the denaturation will be taken place. Denaturation means degradation of the protein. For example, if you keep milk longer time, preserved at normal temperature or even refrigerator, decaying of protein is taken place, that is denaturation is taken place. This is why all proteinous materials, there are certain date and you have to preserve in certain condition, and there is an expiry date for egg or milk or meat, so you cannot preserve for indefinite period of time. For example, meat. Some people preserve in minus 20 degrees Celsius in the refrigerator and expect that the whole year they can get the meat in normal, standard quality, but it is not because of slow denaturation of the protein by the enzyme activity. So this is the some activity how decay is taken place or denaturation is taken place. So there is an equation how the rate of decay, and there is the K is kinetics, and you can calculate. But I think for you, no need to go through in details of the mathematical as well as too much detail of the thermodynamics, but the principle is enough, I guess, for your course. For example, in this equation, integrate from t equal to 0 to infinity, and integrated first order rate of reaction is like that, and the total we started with equals the A remaining plus of the product. That is product, the total A equal to the A remaining A and the product. It is like law of conservation of matter, and remaining A equals total A minus product from. So in any chemical reaction and processes it is taken place, so you can also calculate the PT, and that is product integrated first order rate equation expressed as product from. So product, you can calculate a total A, that is matter you used or energy or something like that, 1 minus E into e to the power KT. So these are the reaction you can calculate for any process. So application of thermodynamics, there are many application in even life sciences, even in agriculture. We studied and I discussed a little bit about the application of thermodynamics in engine and many other electronics and even in the aeroplane. But you are studying the phosphorylation. For example, you are studying the phosphorylation. Phosphorylation means, for example, ADP to ATP. It is phosphate is added and it is called phosphorylation. And phosphorylation is a very important process in the cell for generation of energy. And utilization of energy is dephosphorylation. Phosphorylation of a regulatory protein within a culture cell line, and the follow phosphorylation of protein, the cells are incubated with radioactive inorganic phosphate, because if you use radioactive phosphorus, because in phosphorylation phosphate ion is added to the protein, or and it is called phosphorylation process is called phosphorylation. How many phosphate ion is added, how much ATPs or some phosphorylated product is produced. To calculate it, radioactive technique is very important. If you add inorganic phosphate which is radioactive, then if you feed the cell, then you can easily calculate, because radioactivity we can calculate by using Geiger-Müller counter, some machine. So you can easily quantify which is taken up by the cells, rapidly incorporated into ATP, from which it is used by a specific protein kinase, because for phosphorylation, protein kinase is involved, because enzyme, without an enzyme, any process in the cell cannot be taken place, metabolic process, to transfer P32 to your protein. After several hours, you prepare an extract from the cells. So you extract the protein from the cells and isolate your protein by immunoprecipitation using an antibody specific for the protein. Radioactivity in the immunoprecipitate is too small to measure directly, since most proteins are present at exceedingly smaller levels within the cells. So you resolve the sample by using sodium dodecyl sulfate polyacrylamide gel electrophoresis. So SDS phase is very important, gel electrophoresis. You studied in undergrad, and you can easily detect the and separate the protein or DNA or RNA molecule. And get the relative molecular weight, because you can use the ladder of standard molecular bar, and you can compare and estimate the relative molecular weight. The gel is dried and placed against X-ray film to produce an O2 radiogram. This is another process. So placing the gel in the X-ray film, so you can get the O2 radiogram, and some spot like that. X-ray, when you take X-ray, you can get some clear internal organs as if there is anything wrong. Similarly, radioactive materials give some diagram called O2 radiogram, and you can calculate the O2 radiogram by using software to calculate exactly how much phosphorus is added. So this is obviously why we are discussing, because they also follow the thermodynamics first order reaction. And you originally did this experiment on for example, July 23, but find while writing a paper that you need to compare this result to a later experiment conducted under different conditions. This requires you to run a new SDS page containing an aliquot of your earlier sample and a new sample from the more recent experiment conducted with fresh, radioactive phosphorus. You recall that the half-life of, radioactive phosphorus is 14 days. How would you directly compare the two samples by autoradiography? This is very interesting question. And in mathematics, we do it because phosphorus, radioactive phosphorus, for example, in the O2 radiogram, after the gel electrophoresis, freshly taken O2 radiogram, you can calculate the exact amount of, radioactive phosphorus, how much, utilized to form the ATP. But if you do after later period, then it will be decay, and the rate is, half-life of P32, phosphorus 32, radioactive 32 is 14 days. That means after 14 days, radioactivity will be decayed 50%. That means you can find only 50% compared to the freshly reacted, SDS space O2 radiogram. And then you can gradually calculate how they are, decreasing if you compare with the fresh one, and you can understand the dynamics of, the decay of radioactivity, and it is taken place. This type of decaying is or loss of, things even also taken place in other biological processes. As I told you, the protein decay, they also follow some laws. So these are, in fact, a brief description of thermodynamics, and for your course, it is enough. But what you need to do to get more insight, you need to read some of the popular application of thermodynamics, which even I didn't mention here. I tried to mention basic points related to the application of thermodynamics, thermodynamics laws, and kinetics. But if you browse, as you are master student, you can browse the net, and maybe some of the pages in different universities like MIT or even Khan Academy, you can find some video on thermodynamics and get more insight about it. So you are advised to find some video on thermodynamics, the concept of thermodynamics, the laws of thermodynamics, the applications of thermodynamics in YouTube. So please browse and share with our group, so that we can get you can learn more in depth. And video is very interesting. Always any video you will get more attractive way, and maybe in the video you can see the system and the process in how to say in animated way, and it would be helpful for you to understand further. And this is all from my side, and you have now in front of lots of internet superhighway, Google Scholar. You can find more easy language thermodynamics even in Wikipedia. I took some of the text from the Wikipedia, because Wikipedia is always written in the easiest form. But even Khan Academy, Salman Khan, he established a very nice virtual university. You can find it, and even in MIT, you can find some how to say, open courseware on thermodynamics. So you can browse and roam in the internet to find more interesting point, and we can discuss in detail even in another class, depending on the um, learning materials you collect and share with your Facebook group. Thank you very much. So Rahat is attending today an interview, right?
Sir, tomorrow.
Tomorrow, okay. So he is coming from Sylhet or somewhere?
Sir, or home.
Home where is his home district?
So Mymensingh, Mukhtar sir.
Mymensingh. So he's coming to Dhaka. Anyway, maybe next time we shall discuss more about the thermodynamics. But even though if you have any basic question, you can ask me, and your homework is to find some very attractive video from Khan Academy or MIT or some other, American um, school or website or European. Please share, and we can discuss on those, video, because in the video, you can see the whole system processing animated or more, in depth or insight you can get. Theoretically, thermodynamics apparently you may feel difficult, but the laws are very simple, like Newton's law. Thermodynamics also follow 4 laws. And for your exam, laws, principles, and applications are enough at your stage, because we are not, you are not becoming a physicist, and as a basic understanding of the principle of thermodynamics is important as a young environmental biotechnologist.
Sir, sometimes there has been seen cold hardiness in animals or diapause in some insects. Sir, is it related to third law of thermodynamics?
Sometimes you see,
sir, animal dormancy, they stay dormant for a period of time
this is interesting. Yes, in the metabolic process, somehow they have the mechanism to cease. In our body, in the metabolic process, we are taking food, that means energy we are supplying, and heat is generated through the metabolic processes. ATP is the currency of, how to say, energy, and we are utilizing energy. For example, I am talking and burning the energy, and a thermodynamic process is always going on all living organisms. You nicely asked the question. In case of diapause of the insect or molting period, as they cease the activity, and it is possibly, I'm not sure, in the biochemical process, there are some mechanism to seize the process for certain period to transform it into another. Actually, not absolute seize. In the living organism, living cell, absolute seizing any process is not possible. Movement, if there is no movement, it does not mean metabolic process is not going there. Even in the winter, the snake goes to hibernation to save the energy. In that case also, very slowly energy burning is going on, metabolic process is going on, but the process is slow down. For example, when you are taking rest and when you are running, your mitochondrial activity, if you can measure the mitochondrial activity in two conditions or two states, you can see quite different. Because when you are running, instantly you need to get energy, otherwise you cannot step so fast. But when you are taking rest, you need to use a very small amount of energy just to start the process. But compared to non-living engine, for example, suppose a car, when you stop it, it is a seizing, true seizing of the process. Um, Fuel would never be lost and never be utilized. But in case of biology, absolute seizing is not possible. So the slow process obviously continues until the death of the organism, even a death of the single cell. A good question.
Sir, um, sir, slow degradation of protein takes place under normal condition. Then, sir, while cooking protein, then during cooking, is there any degradation of protein that we are taking as food?
This is a good point. Yes,
Yes.
very good point, because we use freshly harvested, plant protein as well as animal protein after slaughtering, or like milk or egg. Whether during cooking or processing, the protein is degraded or not. Yes, some proteins are heat stable, relatively heat stable at certain temperature, cooking temperature, they are stable. But some are not stable. Um, in that case, they can be breakdown or degraded during the cooking process. But we cannot take the fresh meat, or Japanese people can take fresh meat and fish, but in our society it is impossible. Anyway, so fresh one, the content in the fresh one and cooked one, there are huge differences. If you analyze the protein content or content of any other nutrient, some are during cooking, some are converted to soluble form, and even amino acid is released from the protein, and it is helpful for our intestine to absorb. Even in the intestine is second step of cooking for all the food, and by using hydrochloric acid and creating a heat, a thermodynamic reaction is taking place, and some of the products generated small molecules which are absorbed by the intestinal villi cell. But degradation keeping in the outside and cooking is quite different, because when you put milk outside, microorganism also participates, and some enzymes slowly decay the protein and can make toxic substances, because microorganisms, when they grow, they use different enzyme, toxic enzyme as well as toxic protein to break down the proteinous substances, because they also cannot uptake the protein directly. They need to get it in their available form, so that microorganism can utilize the energy as well as the nutrients from the milk. As a result, milk original structure is they use different chemical weapons to break down into piece by piece. In that case, the chemicals they use sometimes, toxin, and sometimes very powerful toxin. If you preserve food, for example, in the refrigerator for a long time, and if you take, sometimes you can feel serious food poisoning. Or if you preserve outside the refrigerator for short time, even 24 hours, you may face serious food poisoning. Food poisoning means some microorganisms, they are available in the environment, especially bacteria and others, and they produce toxin to degrade the proteinous substances for their own interest. But if you take it, you will suffer from food poisoning, and some of them are deadly. So cooking is uh, different than the natural decaying. Protein cooking is some breakdown taken place, which some of the cases are beneficial for us, but some of the cases we lose the how to say, useful nutrient. For example, if you cook a vegetable which contains high amount of vitamin C, as vitamin C is heat unstable, so you cannot find, after cooking, you cannot find vitamin C from the cooked food. Uh, but some of the uh, vitamins like vitamin A is heat stable, so no, are not so problem. If you cook with small amount of oil, vitamin A, D, E, K, they become soluble in the oil, and when you take it, you can get more nutrient rather than taking the fresh one, because fresh one you cannot digest fully, but a cooked one so in some cases better for getting the nutrition. And cooked one also safe because you can kill the environmental toxic microorganisms, as well as if there is any residue of pesticide or insecticide hazardous substances, you can degrade them and save make them safe for you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Any
sir.
question?
Sir, Assalamu alaikum.
Sanjidan?
Sir, what is actually, sir, entropy and enthalpy is? The idea is not clear, or sometimes get confused, sir.
Yes, entropy and enthalpy.
Yeah.
This is your homework, because we shall discuss in later class some of the terminologies. I used lots of terminologies which are absolutely new for you. Entropy and enthalpy, it is associated with the system or transplant plant, for example, system of our intestines. So the whole system, enthalpy and entropy. What is the difference? Please go through in the net, and we shall discuss in later class more in depth.
Okay, sir. Thank
Any more question? Yes, nice question. And there are some other, keywords. So list the keywords and, find the answer from the Google. Google will give you more, easy language with simple example. I need more. Next class, I shall ask you, and also I shall discuss with you some more, terminologies, not enthalpy and enthalpy and entropy, so that you can understand very clearly. Even if you go the Wikipedia, you can find entropy a page, or enthalpy a page. These are quite, important topic for thermodynamics and electronic physics, and hugely been, there are lots of laws and formulas for calculating and estimating all these things. The biggest challenge for me to tell you this very big science in one class in the easiest form. The most important for you to get the concept. Obviously, if you do not learn the terminologies that I introduced, would be difficult for you to understand. So list the terminologies in the lecture sheet I will share today, and then get the very easiest explanation from the net. If you can get some like a diagram or something video, share with our group, and let us learn more about thermodynamics, which is very robust science, but from the bank of like a river or ocean, we want to see some more insight. Thank you. Thank you very much. Any question?
No, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.